Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get started. A quick intro of myself and of my company this big. Yeah, my name is Scott Turner, CMO at BERA.ai, which is Brand Equity Relationship Assessment. And we make ridiculously powerful predictive brand technology software that applies AI to tons and tons of big brand data. I think we're up to 9 billion data points right now, and it's all about building brand love and tying brand decisions to business outcomes and financial results. So that's a little bit about me. Jordi, why don't you tell, who are you, where are you from, where do you work, what do you do, all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. My name is Jordi Sangil, and I lead in the performance analytics function at MetLife. Very interesting and funny industry as well, like insurance. So my role at MetLife is really to help transform data into actionable insights for business. So to your point, is also to help and enable business growth to MetLife. I'm originally from Spain, but I'm a very international person. I lived in 5 countries. I've worked for agencies, client side. And also within MetLife, I joined 5 years ago, and I moved to New York about 3 years ago already, and happily working at MetLife in the global headquarters.
Oh, great, thank you. And I just want to say, this is a little bit off topic. I'm so grateful and so impressed for folks who did not grow up speaking English to come up on stage and say what they're saying in a language that's not their native tongue. And I know you're not the first person on stage who's not from here originally, but I totally appreciate you and the previous speakers.
We're making double effort.
Yeah, there you go.
Our brain is to think and translate at the same time. This is artificial intelligence.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so thinking about this, I'm learning English myself, so I had to write out my questions. So thinking before, pre and post pandemic, right? How are consumer preferences changing?
Yeah, and at MetLife, really during the pandemic, we conducted a lot of research to really understand consumer preferences, needs, and signals. And frankly, consistently we have been coming across with this insight that consumers want greater personalization, greater customization, and not only in the way we communicate to customers, but also in the way we tailor products for them, we develop products for them, and in the way we interact in the different touch points. So this summit is absolutely relevant nowadays because of these insights and that have been accentuated through the pandemic. There are a couple of drivers that are sustaining that insight, and one is that customers want more flexibility. They, at least in the insurance industry, they just don't want products that are tailored to their existing and present needs. They also want products that can change and flex throughout the changing needs, because the pandemic has demonstrated that things can change and there are some certainly uncertain times. So that's one, flexibility, and the other one is options. Customers want seamless and ongoing interactions, and whether it is a high touch human interaction or whether it's a self-service digital interaction, customers they decide when and how to interact. So the personalization opportunity for organizations is really to have those options available and be ready for them. I mean, for example, if you think about platforms like messaging systems like WhatsApp or WeChat in China or KakaoTalk in Korea, those things were experimental before the pandemic and now have become the new normal, and it's the way we communicate with our customers whenever they want, right? So that's a lot of the flexibility and personalization.
Nice, yeah. So flexibility, personalization is what they want. So what are some of the? I can guess, but why don't you tell me? What are some of the biggest challenges that marketers face trying to deliver?
Yeah, so as I said, personalization continues to be a key trend in marketing, and the extreme advocates of personalization will tell you have to personalize every single creative message that goes out there, and because that's what will get greater relevancy, and that will turn into more sales, and that's a big overpromise, right? Because Personalization assumes that marketeers have perfect data on the individual, and we all know that that's not the case. In fact, there's a few industries that can claim that they have very robust first-party data. Most of the personalization initiatives are based on third-party data, and frankly, the quality of that data and what you can find there is a little bit, different, right? Yeah. So it's that's I think is one of the challenges. But even if you have that data, think about what you can find. It's basic demographics of the customer. It's some behaviors, traffic behavior, digital behavior. But if you truly want to be personal with the customers, what you need to understand is how customers feel, what are their emotions, their motivations, and that is something that you cannot really find in any database. That's in the customer's heart or mind. So you really need to predict those emotions and those attitudes, and here that's the challenge. Data is the challenge, but it also is the opportunity, because the way organizations are able to predict those attitudes and emotions, it's the way that you can get a competitive advantage and make use of that personality and really be truly personal at the same time.
Nice. So, what's working for you? What are some of the tactics for success?
Yeah, so it's basically try and error. Experimentation is key, right? In personalization, like any other marketing tactic, is subject to pilot and test, and for two reasons. Because you want to reach to a decision of go, no go with that initiative, and also because the results of that pilot can really lead you to create a hypothesis and build a bigger business case that you can then scale and roll out. So first to scale, then personalize. Recently at MetLife we had an example of we tried to test a churn propensity model, right, to predict the probability of a customer churning, and the way to do it was like selecting a couple of agents from one of our lines of business in our contact center, and have them call for a month a list of high propensity customers to churn, and then we use as a control group the rest of the agents that will do their retention efforts randomly, right, as their BIU. So after a month, the results were significantly higher and better in the case of the usage of personalized lists and high propensity lists. So we use the metrics and the results of this pilot to really build a bigger business case so that we could operationalize in the larger contact center in that particular line of business. And the results right now in terms of business outcomes are amazing because we're kind of increasing our retention rates.
Wow. Okay. So if you're in the audience thinking about personalization, et cetera, what would you recommend for folks to operationalize? I know you said you started out with trial and error, and maybe that's still the case, and maybe that's always the case, but I'm curious in terms of taking it to the next step to operationalize some of these things that you're discussing.
Actually, before that, there's something else we need to do, which is connect with your business partners. I think it's crucial to understand what are the business challenges. We as marketeers have the responsibility to understand business challenges, needs, what questions do they have, and most importantly, what are we trying to solve for with personalization? I mean, what's the business outcome we're trying to find? Is it more sales? Is it people staying longer as loyalty, or it's acquiring new customers? What it is, and that's why it's important that marketeers show the value of data to our leaders, right? So leadership endorsement is important, and once you get this leadership endorsement, it's when you need to start building cross-functional teams. And again, that's another important advice: is no one individual, no one function owns a customer problem end to end. So it's a team sport, and that's something that it's really important that we have experienced it as well. And after that is when you start experimenting, and experiment fast. This is you have to be agile. It's a good opportunity to implement agile methodologies, and really personalization is a loop of measure and learn. So you have to continuously loop and feed those models and that intelligence.
Nice. So you're in the financial services industry. You hinted earlier when you said the business results are off the charts. I know you're maybe a little bit restricted in what you can say, publicly up on stage, but are you able to give a hint at some of the business results that you've been able to achieve through personalization?
Yeah, and I can start with my experience in the banking industry.
Yeah.
That I about 10 years ago in Dubai, and really, banking industry is one of those few industries where you have abundance of data. I mean, I remember I have almost perfect information of my customers, and partly because it's a regulated business, so you need to have a clear KYC, know your customer. I remember knowing where customers live, having a big database of demographics, salary information, socioeconomical level, how many times they go to the ATM, payment behavior, and most importantly, where do they spend their money? Because with the credit cards, we know where you spend your money, right? So one of the initiatives that we conducted was to improve our retention efforts and trying to keep the most valuable customers. So what we did was created an RFM model, which basically identifies the affinity of a customer to belong to a specific category of interest, of spend category of interest. So for example, if you're a person that likes to go to the movies or to a restaurant, and you go there often, yeah, and you spend a lot, right? So the algorithm will classify you as a potential for sending you an offer, right? So at the same time, we would run on you a propensity model, yeah, that will calculate the probability of that you would leave the bank. So with that information, we would send you a personalized offer with a cashback or a discount for next time you go to the restaurant. So that's something that our customers really appreciated and generated a lot of customer engagement, and most importantly, improved our business results, our retention rates, right? So this is an example where an automated AI model through personalization, we had impactful business results. We also at the bank 10 years ago started to play with mixing first-party data and third-party data by personalizing display content and banners where depending on your browsing behavior and your products of interest, so that we could kind of really maximize our digital funnel. But it was 10 years ago.
Nice, yeah. Well, I mean, so the examples you gave, I think, would help to drive maybe better, more efficient marketing spend, so you're wasting less money, and it sounds like you're getting better conversion rates, for lack of a better term, and you're getting probably better outputs from it. So those are financial metrics that are good for the company. What about the customer experience, ways that maybe the customers, your consumers enjoying?
Well, the customers actually really, when because we researched those customers right after, and they actually didn't find it intrusive. I mean, they were like, that this is a great initiative. I mean, they were really appreciative of this. So there's no business outcome without strong customer experience. Because the way you reach the business outcomes is by providing good experiences for the customer, remarkable experiences.
Nice, yeah. Excellent. So how should, thinking maybe at a higher level, how should marketing evolve from where you're sitting to help capture some of these opportunities?
So marketing is evolving constantly, right? And I think marketers need to really continue to build analytical capabilities, right? So I think to that point, it is not about building very, very deep technical capabilities. I mean, marketers need to know what to do with data so that we can recommend strong business plans to our leaders.
Nice. So you and I have spoken now a couple of times, and you've had an interesting career that you've hinted at in the introduction. I'm curious, what other maybe experiences or learnings have helped you personally maybe move forward?
Yeah. So maybe first of all, I can tell you a little bit about how we're using personalization at MetLife, and I think because that's a very interesting journey in which I am in right now. I'm considering myself a kind of a strategic scientist, right? And MetLife is the company that is giving me the opportunity now to deploy all of these skills. At MetLife, insurance sector in general, it's not like banking. We don't have that much information, so it's like a little bit. It's an intermediate. It's an intermediate business, because sometimes we don't even own the customer data, and also it's not. You don't have so many transactions like in the banking industry, so you have less data. Let's start with that. But it's still at MetLife we have we are very customer-centric focused, and we have even a strong customer commitment to build remarkable and enduring customer relationships. And personalization is a fundamental enabler of all of this. So we're starting to do now a lot of predictions. And to my point earlier about what you need to know to understand is how to win your heart's customer and how to understand their emotions. So we are trying to implement advanced analytics to predict those attitudes and emotions. And for example, merging research data with customer data, we're able to predict the belonging of a specific segment. So for example, I can know if you're a risk taker or a more conservative investor based on certain proxy variables that are in our database, so that we can target initiatives specific to you. So that's an important one. Also, we are able to predict future, because calculating the value over the time of the lifetime of a customer is something that is it's a good way to be personal, right, and to offer the right products at the journey. There's a couple of examples where we have used personalization in MetLife to build solutions. So there's this solution that we build in Asia. It's called 360 Health. And basically what it does is it solves for the health concerns of the Asian population, and it consumes customer data. So it reads your data. So when you register, you have your claim history, your personal demographic information, but also you can customers can input data into that system. So you can input your general information, health information from your Apple Watch, eating habits, exercise habits. Even you can take a picture of your meal, and the system will recognize what meal it is and learns from you, so that powered by AI, the platform is providing you meaningful and personalized, advices, nutrition plans, exercise plans, health tips, etc. So. Personalization is a key element of our customer strategy at MetLife, and we're really proud of treating our customers that way. So this is where I am right now. But I'm really grateful for all my career path and what I've done professionally, because I had the ability and the privilege of seeing things from multiple vantage points. I've been working in the agency and the client side, in multiple industries. Banking is one of them, but also living and working in 5 countries and deploying research and analytics projects in more than 50 countries and markets have gave me a little bit of that 360 view. Of analytics and how it's been applied in different circumstances, and yeah, it's great. So I started my career with a very technical role, right, where I build my analytical skills, and then I moved to the agency side to build a little bit more of my business, development and consulting skills. And then I moved back to the client side to apply all of those learnings and to build analytical capabilities to my teams. And frankly, I pivoted even within MetLife. I pivoted from local, regional, and global roles. So I'm really, again, as I said at the beginning, what we do is to transform data into actionable insights to drive business growth.
Yeah, really cool. So you've got the left brain and the right brain, the the tech and the data science
and
and
the
the
middle brain.
creative. Yeah, and the middle brain too, I'm sure, in 5 countries. And I was just thinking all the languages and all the regulations in each places of what you can, what data you can track, et cetera, et cetera. It's you've got an interesting background in all those.
It is. I mean, because you might think, in the banking industry, the strong regulations played in our favor, right? Because you have to have, you have to have perfect KYC. You have to have a perfect, and at least in Dubai, it was regulated in a way that every year a customer needs to present to the bank their latest, we have that kind of national ID that has a chip in it, and the customer needs to go and insert that chip or put that chip into the app so that chip contains about 50 data points of our customers. So imagine the amount of information we have from our customers. That's where you can really start to really craft offers and being really personal to them.
Yeah. Wow. And you may have already hinted it, but maybe it is kind of a summary a bit. I'm thinking of new capabilities that are on the horizon that you might, maybe you're able to talk about, but new capabilities you're developing as a company.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to predict because, capabilities are changing and are moving away. Every day technology moves at a faster pace, but I don't think it's about the capabilities, it's about the ability to play with the data. I mean, all of this is about data. And the quality of the data that you have is what will take you there, and and capabilities. Obviously, we're talking about, what I said before is really, having the ability of understanding what you can do with data. But at the end of the day, that's what will give you the competitive advantage.
Yeah, sounds like the execution of
It's the execution of it.
You've got a lot of data around. What do you do with it?
The execution is the other part of the equation. Is one thing is your kitchen, is your how do you play with the data, how do you do your analytical processes. But then the other part of the equation is how well you execute, right? How well you you leverage the data insights into real execution, whether it is a marketing campaign, or it's retention efforts, or it's building solutions for customers that are tailored. So it really is that's a really the game. It's less about the capabilities, it's more about what you have.
Excellent, thank you. I have no clue how we're doing with time, so 5 minutes, and maybe it's a good time to do Q&A. If you don't ask good questions, you don't get dinner tonight. So that's what I heard. So make sure it's an excellent question.
We can have
or you're out of luck.
Bottles of champagne for the great question. You got champagne?
Hey, I'll just ask a quick question on the predictability part of the conversation that you're having, specifically to the part that you can't predict in regards to emotions, and where do you go with that? Is it just gut reactions of coming from the department on, I think we should go in this direction, or is it where do you lead with that?
Yeah, what I mean by emotions is about your attitudes, right, towards life, towards it's a very important and relevant in insurance business, because what is your attitudes towards life, towards financial services, towards protection, right? So an attitude could be that I'm a risk taker, or I am a conservative guy, or I don't care about anything, so I don't need an insurance. So the emotions, the predictability of the emotions is relevant. It's very important for insurance companies, because the way you tailor your products depends on that, and the segments that you go after depends on whether it's a risk taker or a. So that's the part of the emotions, and what I mean by emotions, right?
I'll do anything for a bottle of champagne. So here's the question.
You got it.
Well, insurance is a very personal business, right? I mean, it's about how we feel about life, how we take risk, etc. So how do you balance the idea of predicting versus being spooky, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have a lot of information, a customer might say, well, you know too much, or how do you know that I'm going to risk taker versus a conservative person? How to balance that, predicting versus scary, being scary with customers?
Yeah, that is what I said before, that one part of the equation is what you do with data. The other part of the equation is the execution, right? And how do you design those? How do you craft those messages? Need to be in a less intrusive way, right? I mean, when we're talking about emotions, emotions change a lot, right? So we're not talking about how you feel today or anything. It's about how are your motivations in life. And that's something that we could be very subtle, and that's where the creativity of the marketeer comes to craft a message that really, is not intrusive. I mean, I'm not getting the feeling that I am, MetLife knows that I'm a risk taker and it wants me to invest heavily. So I think it's the role of the creative, of the left brain or the right brain of the marketeer. Well, so it's more of the creative.
My advanced AI is telling me there's 1 minute left.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny on that topic. I get emails all the time from marketing technology companies and things, and they're saying, they often start with things saying almost like, sorry for being creepy, but that's how powerful our software is, that we know all these wonderful things about you.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's really creepy. Sometimes personalization can go really wrong, because if you have information that is not, and I have a couple of examples that I can tell you offline, but really
after champagne. Yeah.
Exactly, after champagne. But yeah, it can go really wrong if you don't craft the message properly, and if you don't have great information, great data.
Yeah.
I just want to know, this should be off mic. If I upload a photo of my food, do you have a way to say, put the fork down?
Yeah, there you go. That's the next product. It's in stealth mode.
I think AI can work on it. We can develop something. Yeah.
All right.
I have one question.
Yep.
You know that all Fireside chats come with one softball question.
Okay. What's that?
What's BERA and why is it?
Oh, yeah. At the risk of repeating myself, I'll try not to too badly. It's Brand Equity Relationship Assessment AI
We knew
software.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.